Good day, grade 9 students. Welcome back to our MAPE class. I am your teacher broadcaster for today's Quarter 4, Lesson 3 in Health. I hope you're all well and ready for today's session. Before we proceed to our main lesson, let us have a review game for you to remember our Week 2 topic. Are you ready? All you have to do is to guess the picture flashed on screen with the jumbled letters given. You have 5 seconds to answer. First picture. The answer for number 1 is suicide. Yes, suicide. Suicide is an intentional taking of one's life, maybe due to depression, problems, or stress. Second picture. You're right. Bullying. Bullying is an unwanted aggressive behavior. This behavior is repeated over time. Examples of bullying are verbal, social, physical, and cyberbullying. Third picture. Abuse is the correct answer. Abuse may be verbal or sexual. I'm pretty sure that you already remembered a lesson 2, based on the pictures and words that you guessed, like suicide, bullying, and abuse. So, what was our previous lesson? Yes, the types of intentional injuries. Very good. And for today's topic, we will discuss Quarter 4, Lesson 3 in Health. The risk factors related to intentional injuries. But before we start, I would like to know how far is your knowledge about the different factors related to intentional injuries. Specifically, it seeks to achieve the learning competency. Analyzes the risk factors related to intentional injuries. We will also focus our learning objectives with the following. Number 1. Define the risk factors related to intentional injuries. Number 2. Analyze the risk factors related to intentional injuries. Number 3. Realize the importance of analyzing the risk factors related to intentional injuries. Are you ready? Let's do this and start learning! Let us try the first activity. True or false? Instruction. Read and analyze the statement below. Write T if the statement is true and F if the statement is false. 5 seconds will be given for you to answer. Number 1. Knowing risk factors is very essential in keeping oneself away from violence. True or false? The correct answer is T. True. Number 2. Being a street smart helps you reduce the risk of violence. True or false? Answer is T. True. Number 3. A street smart person hasn't good common sense and cannot handle bad situations. True or false? F. False is the answer. Number 4. A person who's unable to manage anger and stress cannot cause intentional injuries. True or false? Answer is false, F. And number 5, risk factor is anything that increases the likelihood of a future negative outcome. True or false? The correct answer is T. True. Nice job for our first activity. I hope you find it easy in analyzing the following questions. Here are also some guide questions for you to ponder while we proceed with our discussion. First question, why do you think a person is acting or doing purposely acts that can harm a person? Number 2, what is the significance of the different risk factors in human behavior related to intentional injuries? This time, let us study the risk factors related to intentional injuries. Let us define first risk factor. Risk factor is anything that increases the likelihood of a future negative outcome. Risk factors refer only to the statistical probability that something negative will happen and not a surety that a person will behave violently or be harmed by others. The risk factors related to intentional injuries can be categorized by individual, family, social or peers, and community. For individual, the risk factors are history of violent victimization, attention deficits, hyperactivity, or learning disorders, history of early aggressive behavior, involvement with drugs, alcohol, or tobacco, low IQ, poor behavioral control, discriminatory behavior, deficits in social cognitive or information processing abilities, high emotional distress, history of treatment for emotional problems, anti-social beliefs and attitudes, and exposure to violence and conflict in the family. For the family, the risk factors are authoritarian child-rearing attitudes, harsh, lax, or inconsistent disciplinary practices, low parental involvement, low emotional attachment to parents or caregivers, low parental education and income, parental substance abuse or criminality, poor family functioning, and poor monitoring and supervision of children. For peer and social, risk factors are association with delinquent peers, involvement in gangs, social rejection by peers, bullying, lack of involvement in conventional activities, poor academic performance, low commitment to school and school failure, non-resistance to negative peer pressure, and sensation-seeking and impulsiveness. And lastly, for the community, the risk factors are diminished economic opportunities, high concentrations of poor residents, high level of transiency, high level of family disruption, low levels of community participation, socially disorganized neighborhoods, adverse environment, and perceived availability of drugs, laws, and norms favorable to drug use. And And now, to further understand the risk factors related to intentional injuries, be ready to take higher tests. Let us practice. Direction. Read the statement below. Analyze what category of risk factor is being described in each statement. Write the corresponding letter of your answer. I for individual, F for family, PS, peer and social, C for community. You will be given 5 seconds to answer. Number 1. Making trouble is a normal scenario every time Henry is with his troops and friends. The answer is PS, peer or social. Number 2. Andre keeps on escaping his class since he was not monitored and supervised by his parents. F, family is the answer. Number 3. Jerry keeps on hitting his classmates every time he wants something from them. The answer is I, individual. Number 4. Barangay Kaka is known for drug addicts because selling of substance abuse is rampant everywhere. Answer is C, community. Number 5. Kenny keeps on making trouble every time he is under the influence of alcoholic drinks. The answer is I, individual. Good work! You're doing quite well in this activity. Here are the things that you need to remember. Risk factor is anything that increases the likelihood of a future negative outcome. Risk factors refer only to the statistical probability that something negative will happen and not a surety that a person will behave violently or be harmed by others. Everyone has varying degrees of control over risk factors. Risk factors can be categorized by individual, family, peer or social, and community. Knowing risk factors is very essential in keeping oneself away from violence. Let us now assess your knowledge and understanding about our lesson by answering this question. What is the importance of analyzing the risk factors related to intentional injuries? Today, you have learned about the different risk factors related to intentional injuries. Risk factors that influence a person's chance of developing a mental or substance use disorder and link a person in violence. These factors are need to analyze, understand why people get involved from intentional injuries or violence. This topic will help you to become more aware and knowledgeable in analyzing the risk factors related to intentional injuries. Also, prevent ourselves to get involved in times of intentional injuries. Did you know that looking confident is one of the best ways to stay safe when you're outside? Try to look aware and walk tall because confident individuals are less likely to be bullied or assaulted. One way to be confident is to feel safe. Be mindful of your surroundings and carefully plan when you go to places. Congratulations! You have accomplished this module and did an amazing job. I hope you enjoy answering and learned a lot from our lesson. May you continue this enthusiasm and eagerness to learn more with the following modules. Once again, this is Mylene May P. Gutierrez, your teacher broadcaster, saying, you will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated. Thank you, my dear grade 9 students. Keep safe and God bless.